Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often, we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in our amazing universe. And welcome to another episode of the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. We're on the Inspired Choices Network, and we're talking about vulnerability today. And vulnerability is power. When you step into your vulnerability, it's like as if you are speaking your truth and allowing it to be heard, no matter who's there, what's there, and what's going on. Vulnerability is power. And, too often I think many of us hide and maybe are afraid or even embarrassed to speak your truth and being vulnerable. And I'm going to invite you, hopefully by the end of this episode, to really step into embracing that aspect of yourself because it's truly a superpower. And it allows you to step into your sovereignty and to your ability to really be true and genuine and authentic. And it's empowering, and and it's not for the weak of heart. It takes a lot of bravery and courage to speak your truth. What happens so often, I think, is that people retract to their minds, and they try to figure something out or justify why they shouldn't be doing something, or make up what the other person's thinking. It's like you're creating a story or a fable that doesn't even exist. And it's kind of funny because when I work with clients, I always tell people, oh, you're making up a story again about the whole thing because it's probably not even true. And 100% of the time, it's not. So that's just our way of coping with things, just to, fabricate a story that isn't the truth. So, what is vulnerability? Vulnerability is like being raw and just allowing yourself to experience what is going on with you and also sharing it with others. And it actually is, oh, how could I say it? And it's an aspect of emotional intelligence as well, because it's like you know who you are, you know what you're experiencing, you know what you're feeling. So it's like when you are just completely aligned, you just share that because people need to know what's going on with you or not. That's a choice. But sometimes it actually gives other people permission to do the same. It's like you lead by example, and you're sharing it's sharing parts of yourself, and it fosters, a deeper connection and more trust. So, you know, vulnerability too, when we are going through our past, overcoming past wounds or traumas or even current traumas and wounds, it's sometimes sharing the the discomfort with others. Let me clarify that it's not projecting the discomfort, it's sharing what you're experiencing. It's like you are totally aware of who you are. You have a great sense of who you are, you know your emotions, you know what you're feeling, and you're able to express that without um, making it somebody else's problem. You're taking 100% ownership, and you're just sharing what you're experiencing. What a concept, huh? How often do people just are not awake enough to be aware that maybe they're projecting their stuff onto other people instead of just feeling it and being with it and just saying, I'm feeling really disappointed and sad right now. Um, Instead of being so angry that you're projecting it onto somebody else. When you're able to tap into the essence of you and really feel what is going on with you, and without adding that projection onto other people and making them wrong or right for what you're feeling, it's about you stepping into your power. And when you are being vulnerable, it's such a true gift when you're able to be heard, and when you're able to be heard, but also be valued and respected too. And, I think the most important thing to remember, in addition to everything else I'm telling you, is that vulnerability can be a tool for transformation and self healing. Okay. Because when we are being very vulnerable, we're letting we're letting in light to the deepest areas of who, and the deepest crevices of who we are. So this light could actually assist in our healing and allows us to bring it from the depths or the dark or unconsciousness to consciousness, if you want to call it. So you're able to verbalize it and dissipate the energy that's attached to it. Authenticity strengthens relationships. It also, helps you navigate difficult conversations with openness and confidence. When you share, it's almost like you're stepping into your body. Of course, you're in your body when you're doing this, because you are actually speaking from your heart brain. We talk about the mind brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. You're speaking from that heart brain. And when you're in your heart brain, you are in your physical body. When you're in your physical body, you're in the present moment. So when you speak from that heart space and share your vulnerability, you will always say the right thing. That's been my experience with that. Even though you're having a difficult conversation with somebody, you're able to grasp all that is needed so the person will hear it in the right sense, but also to say it with love, but also to say it without attachment as well. And I think the beauty part of it too, it's like being vulnerable there brings up a lot of fear, and the fear of being judged. When you speak from your heart without fear or judgment, it's transformative. It's transformational. For those of us who are in the working world and you have to deal with leadership, and I feel we're all leaders to some way, shape, or form. And, you know, the vulnerability puts people on a level playing ground, especially if you do it from kindness and heart space. And it allows your emotional intelligence to come through. And, we know that this is so important with, effective leadership as well. So, how does one really get to, practice this whole vulnerability? Like I was saying, when you are in your physical body, this is where you have the awareness, when you're in your heart brain. So what is the best way to access your heart brain is doing mindful practices. We talk a lot about mindful activity on my show, and I think it's so essential because mindful activity is not a one-stop shop, one size fits everybody. It's so unique to each individual. And a mindful activity can be anything that you lose all sense of time and place. We've all had those moments where you get so lost in the project at hand that time disappears. It's like 4 or 5 hours go by and you feel like it's only been 10 minutes. A mindful activity is I define it as anything that allows you to lose all sense of time and place. And it could be as simple as going out in nature, gardening, maybe going for a walk, just, sitting in the park and watching children, or even reading a book. Or it could be as formal as, sitting in lotus position in meditation, in silent meditation for hours. What I'm going to encourage you is that play with this and find out what your mindful activity is that's going to put you in that space of timelessness. Because when you're in that space of timelessness, you're in the present moment, and that's all that matters. And you're really being in your body, in your heart space. When you're in your body and in your heart space, you are probably stepping into a zone that is going to allow you to feel more secure and safe within yourself. This is where certainty or uncertainty becomes certainty, okay? Because we are experiencing a lot of uncertainty in our external world. In our inner world, you could create the certainty in an uncertain world by doing a mindful activity and also allowing yourself to be vulnerable to what is going on. When you're getting triggered by the external, going with inside and looking deeper as to why this is such a big deal for you. So when you're able to really look at and go deep within yourself, I think it's so important that vulnerability is one of our greatest strengths if you choose to embrace that and allow yourself to, come to yourself and allow yourself to be able to step into that. Give yourself permission to lean into that and to trust the information that you're getting. When you take one small step towards, being vulnerable, you're moving towards being authentic. And, when you're being authentic and real, that's the essence that's radiating from you. It's not something that happens outside of you. It starts from within you and permeates through you and radiates out. And this is what people are often attracted to. Okay. When some people walk into the room and they have this essence of them, and it's like a magnet that draws people towards them. When you start becoming that essence of being vulnerable, you are aligned with yourself and you are reflecting out from inside this power that you have that is truly genuine and authentic and not, unreal. And the more you are able to step into a mindful activity and learn how to trust information that you're getting because you're in the present moment and that's where this information gets downloaded to us, you're going to be able to trust that more and more and walk in deeper confidence within yourself, no matter what kind of shit show is moving on around you. And believe me, there's a lot of that now. So we're getting ready to go on our first break already. I can't believe it. And you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we are talking about vulnerability as being a power. So stay tuned. And when we come back, we'll share more examples of vulnerability in different areas of life. So stay tuned.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And today on our show, we've been talking about vulnerability. And vulnerability is power. And vulnerability is something that takes courage, bravery, and it's not for the weak of heart. And when we step into that, it's getting us to the level of being more authentic and genuine and real. And what's more delicious than that? I know that we've all been going through things. Myself personally, I'm just going to share a brief story. Um, Last week we got some news that my brother was not doing well health wise, and long story short, he's going to have major cardiac surgery, probably for vessel bypass. And for me, I feel like what was going on. I was working at the same time. So for those of you that don't know that, I still work in the clinical setting in the hospital as an assistant surgeon. So I assist in surgical procedures. And I was in surgery and I had gotten that news. And I ended up, we do a lot of dialogue in surgery when an operation's going on. And I was sharing with this surgeon, I said, I'm just so disappointed and angry with my brother right now. And I was being extremely vulnerable because that what was in my space, but yet it didn't take away from what I was doing. I was just being so authentic and real. And I said, for my brother, he knows better, and I'm just so disappointed. And so just sharing that was a huge thing for me, and it just was able to get some steam off of my plate. And it was done in a way that it wasn't projecting you know my anger or disappointment on anybody else. It was just being fully present with that and just verbalizing it. And I feel sometimes when you verbalize things, and you're being genuine and authentic, usually people will hear you and they hold the space for you if that's what it is. And that's what I truly felt, as if the space was being held for me. And the surgeon replies, he's over there, well, that's just very typical of guys. Guys just don't. And so, yeah, I got that. And it just was important that I was heard. So I invite you, when you are going through difficult things in your life and, it brings up emotions, is just be with that, but also be able to verbalize what you're experiencing. And sometimes that verbalization is enough to dissipate that energy that is within your body. And believe me, you do not want to keep that energy of being the strong silent type and internalizing what you're experiencing, because over time, and over a lifetime of that, it has an effect on your overall health and well-being. It's almost as if our body is a pressure cooker and we need to release that valve a little bit so that steam comes out like in a pressure cooker so it doesn't explode. Great analogy, I guess, huh? I like that. So, circling back here to talking about vulnerability is power. In your personal life and relationships, I just think it's important to, know when it's time to ask for help. And, having emotional support during a difficult time. And sometimes it's about reminding other people that it's okay to ask for help as well. Like I said, expressing your feelings. Um, Telling someone you love them without knowing if they feel the same way. It's just like that's being vulnerable. And it's like you're taking a risk. You feel the fear, but you're going to step into it and do it anyway. When you make a mistake or something like that, apologizing and owning your errors. And I have a thing about what we call mistakes and errors. I call them learning opportunities because we are here learning. I'm also saying, taking ownership of when maybe we've done something that was out of alignment or whatever, and owning it instead of projecting and thinking that it's somebody else's issue. This is about being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Also, we talk a lot about setting boundaries. Key. Being vulnerable sometimes is setting a boundary, especially if you're in a situation, say for an example, you in your family, you just don't set boundaries very well, and some of your family members just walk all over you. Sometimes being vulnerable is making a change in your behavior to set a boundary. So, you could be more vulnerable. And you'll notice a lot of times when you set a boundary that it's working when the people that you set the boundary for either, react to it, they push back, or they go silent. So you know that it's working. And it's not about you feeling guilty or shamed or really weird or uncomfortable doing that. This is a necessity for each one of us as we step into our power. It's our sovereign right to say no and mean it without having repercussions that have been projected onto us from, our ancestors, work, society, whatever. And, being vulnerable, sharing your story. When you're open and you're able to share your experiences, this is like gold dust because you never know what you might say that might inspire somebody else in that moment. And we've all had very interesting lives and different, interesting learning experiences along our lives. And sometimes just sharing your story can really make a difference in somebody else's life. It could touch somebody so deeply that it transforms them. So it's something to consider. It's really, being vulnerable and sharing your story is powerful as well. It's very, being vulnerable is very good for your personal growth. It's about facing your fears. And those are those deep-seated things that, what we call skeletons in the closet that need to be removed. You need to do a major purge of the closets. And it's okay. I think a lot of us feel that we're going to be rejected or, we're going to be labeled, judged, or criticized. We're in a different time now. Yes, that is still here and it's actually fading. So I invite you to embrace the idea of just facing your fears and moving forward. Perfectionism is another thing, and perfectionism is a coping mechanism. So um, you can feel as if you're worthy, and it's time to let go of that too, because you are worthy. You don't have to be perfect. You could just show up in all your essence of who you are, because you're perfect just as you are. And just being able to receive feedback without getting defensive. And I love this one. It's about being teachable. I feel that so many of us, we're always learning here on planet Earth. In fact, we come to planet Earth to get our PhD in being human. And when we are teachable and open to learn, we're going to grow and expand our wisdom in greater ways than you could imagine. So, you know, try something new, be teachable. And I think most importantly, it's about learning how to forgive yourself and forgiving others. Too much energy is retained within ourselves when we don't forgive others. And most importantly, we don't forgive ourselves. We are the hardest on ourselves. And I invite us to change that and shift that to something different. It's time. We need to start talking nicer to ourselves. We need to treat ourselves as our own best friend, because, newsflash, the longest relationship you're going to have in your life is the one you have with yourself. Now, something to ponder. How are you treating yourself? Are you treating yourself as if you would treat your best friend? Or are you saying really mean and ugly things to yourself in the quiet of your mind? Trust me, that's all energy. I invite you to shift that. It's about having more self compassion for yourself than you've ever had before. And remember, words have vibrations and frequencies. Some vibrate higher than others. The lower vibrating words like I hate you, you're ugly, low vibrating. When you just automatically talk about self-compassion, just the word has a higher frequency. So I invite you just to be aware of what you're saying to yourself. And when you find that you're not being nice to yourself, just take a deep breath and just focus on the word self-compassion, and just use it as a mantra and repeat it to yourself over and over and over. This will shift a lot of what you're experiencing. So, we've talked a lot about how we could be more vulnerable. And without being going into, like the leadership and being in your professional life, the foundational pieces are the same. When you're able to do all these things in your personal life, why wouldn't you want to be doing it in your professional life? Something to ponder, because everywhere you go, here you are. So I believe that what happens to a lot of people, they have a set of rules for their personal life, and they have maybe a 180-degree variance for rules for their professional life. And so the personal and the professional don't align. And we're in a time now where it's so important that we walk our talk, not only personally but professionally as well too. So, pretty much, you know, be aware of being vulnerable in the world, and especially in where you show up and where you walk. And I just want to talk about some public figures. Brene Brown, she is a speaker, and she does a lot with communication. She talks a lot about vulnerability. And another person in the media world is Oprah Winfrey, and she was very vulnerable through her entire career, and even more so, she shares what's on her mind and what's going on near and dear to her heart. And the other thing too is, like, we had a Olympic athlete Simone Biles, who withdrew from her events because she prioritized her mental health. She was being extremely vulnerable, but she had strength in her self-awareness. So just some examples that we're surrounded by that. And it's about time that we take that on as our own truth as well. So you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we're talking about vulnerability as power. And when we come back, we'll share some more and get you an experiential experience of a guided meditation on how to tap into your vulnerability. So stay tuned and see you when we come back.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back, everybody. You're listening to another episode on Inspired Choices Network on the Dr. Dolores Show. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And, for those of you who are on your spiritual journey and maybe you have just awoken to it and you feel like your life is topsy-turvy and you don't know which end is up or down or sideways, I invite you to join our monthly membership community. It is called I'm Awake Now What? And it offers resources, support, a live Zoom call every week that's recorded. And it also offers community and the ability to heal. And I think this is so important in our times because as we awaken, sometimes we just feel lost and out of sorts. And this is a great way to become more grounded and more secure and confident in your new awareness. So go to my website. It's drdoloresfazzino.com, and you'll see a tab for I'm Awake Now What? And I invite you to go check it out. I think you will enjoy this and we would love to have you. So, before we went on break, we were talking about vulnerability and power. And I just want to tap in on a few things here. I would like to let you know that it might be a great idea to see vulnerability as a strength because it is. It is courage. It is a fear of, it's an opportunity for connection and an opportunity for healing. When we go and step into vulnerability, start small, take baby steps. Identify your fears. Sometimes we go down the rabbit hole of what if this happens and what if this, it's okay to do that. And sometimes when you verbalize what those worst fears are, they just never materialize because you've gotten that energy out and it's dissipated. you know Build your emotional awareness. Emotional awareness is huge, and when you're able to name what you're feeling, um like saying, if you're really anxious and stressed and about a situation, just say, I feel nervous about this situation. When you are communicating, always speak from the I. Make it about I statements, not like you made me do this. It's like, for an example, if you had something happen where you got really hurt about something, instead of blaming, like you hurt me when you said this, say, I feel hurt when this happened. And you're making it about you instead of the other person. So it's like you're taking ownership. For those people who are like, don't like to be seen, it's time to be seen. Allow yourself to be seen. Share your stories. And, maybe somebody, not everybody's going to understand or approve, and that's okay, but your story is important because the right people are going to need to hear it. And if you don't share it, they're never going to hear it. Embrace your imperfection. um you know None of us have it all together, trust me on that. And when you find the humor in that, you're going to just add more joy to your life and just have more fun, and surround yourself with supportive people. Celebrate your wins. And if you need to, check out coaches and mentors and get some support. I'm there for you too if you need that. I provide those type of services, and I would love to be able to guide you on your journey. So the more you practice vulnerability, the stronger and more empowered you become. So with that being said, I want to jump into a guided meditation right now. So you're able to embrace your vulnerability with confidence. So, right now, just find a quiet place to sit or lie down comfortably. And when you're ready, just close your eyes. So, we're going to ground ourselves now and just allow yourself to take a deep breath in and slowly blow it out. And again, breathe in deeply and exhale fully. With each breath, feel your body relaxing and releasing any tension. And just allow yourself to arrive fully in this moment, feeling safe and present. Now, place your hand gently over your heart. Feel the warmth and the steady rhythm beneath your palm. This is the center of your authentic self, your truth, your courage. Imagine a soft, golden light glowing from your heart, gentle yet powerful. And as you sit with this warmth, allow yourself to notice any fear, hesitation, or discomfort around vulnerability. Without judgment, simply observe. What does vulnerability feel like in your body? What thoughts arise when you consider being open and real? Breathe deeply, knowing that it's okay to feel this way. Now, imagine this golden light expanding, surrounding you with compassion and strength. Each breath in you take draws courage and self acceptance into your heart, and each breath out or exhale releases fear and doubt. You are safe. You are enough. You are strong. And silently repeat these affirmations. I am safe to be seen. I embrace my true self with love and confidence. Vulnerability is my strength, not my weakness. I trust that being open leads to deeper connection and freedom. I am safe to be seen. I embrace my true self with love and confidence. Vulnerability is my strength, not my weakness. I trust that being open leads to deeper connections and freedom. So take a final deep breath in and exhale slowly. And wiggle your fingers and toes, gently bringing awareness back to your body. When you are ready, open your eyes, carrying this sense of strength and openness into your day. And just remember, vulnerability is not about being exposed. It's about being real. The more you practice, the more empowered you become. So welcome back, everybody. And as you awaken into this presence, just sit with the energy and the experience. And we're going to come back to wrap up our show. So you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network, and we're talking about vulnerability is power today. So when we return, we'll just wrap it up and share what else is new. See you soon.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Ready to break free from complacency? Welcome to I'm Awake, Now What? Your monthly invitation to embrace conscious living. If you've been feeling lost or stagnant, this is your chance to awaken your purpose. Join our transformative conscious wake-up office hours every month for guidance and self-discovery. Experience the power of clarity and focus as you navigate towards holistic healing and empowerment. Don't just survive, thrive. Sign up now and unlock a wealth of benefits, including enhanced well-being, stress reduction, emotional healing, and connection. It's time to ignite the flames of purpose within and start your journey to a fulfilling life.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we've been talking about vulnerability is power today on our episode. And we kind of talked about being vulnerable. And so right now I'm going to be vulnerable again. So if you like what you hear on our show, please like us on your favorite platform. We broadcast to over 350 different platforms internationally. So you will be able to find your favorite listening modality. And I just invite you to like us and, leave a review. We love hearing comments. And if you have any thoughts of anything that you would like us to talk about on our show, please reach out to me at Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. I always love hearing from fans, and you know, I want to know what you want to learn about and what you want to hear. So that was my vulnerability pitch. So today on our show, we talked about vulnerability is power, and vulnerability is not a weakness, but a profound strength. You got to remember that. We discussed the misconceptions about vulnerability and how to navigate fear and resistance in practical ways. And we did a delicious meditation. So remember, vulnerability is the gateway to authenticity. When we allow ourselves to be seen, we are as we truly are, we create a space for real connections and self empowerment. It's all about being real these days. Courage and vulnerability go hand in hand. It takes an immense courage to express emotions, share your struggles, and admit when we need help. And you know what? This is what community is all about these days. Finding your tribe and being courageous and vulnerable. Fear of judgment is not a mental block. Not, oops, I'm sorry. Fear of judgment is a mental block. It's not reality. Got it that twisted around there. It is a mental block. Most of the time, we fear being judged, and more than people judge us. So it's about the stories that we make up in the quiet of our mind that aren't true. So being open often invites understanding and not rejection. Leadership and relationships thrive on vulnerability. And I just want to reinforce the fact that it is always good to have whatever you tolerate in your personal life, you should be, if you have strict boundaries and in your personal life and you don't do that in your professional life, I invite you to look at where the incongruencies are between what you are personally and what you do professionally, because there might be a misalignment, and this could actually create some discord within you. But also, when you're able to align who you are in all aspects of your life, this is where you're being extremely vulnerable and you're going to be able to be more genuine and authentic. And practice small acts of vulnerability adds strength. Remember, baby steps. If this is like an overwhelming concept to you, I just invite you to take baby steps. Do small things until you feel more confident, and build your confidence and continue to expand and take bigger steps, and maybe, start leaping. Just start. I think that's the most important thing I need to share with you. When you start stepping into your power, you're going to become unstoppable. And being vulnerable is allowing you to share the deepest parts, the deepest wells of who you are. So today, I just want to say, um, vulnerability is a superpower. It allows you to show up fully, connect deeply, and lead with heart. And we need more of that in our world. The path to courage starts with one small step, one honest conversation, one moment of openness, and one act of self trust. I encourage you to lean into vulnerability this week. Challenge yourself to speak your truth and ask for support, or share something real with someone you trust. You might be surprised at the strength and freedom that follows. So, thank you for joining me today. If this conversation resonated with you, be sure to tune in next week for another episode when we talk about um, minding your garden, cultivating a thriving life. Um, and this is more about how we are planting our internal garden. Are the things we say to ourselves, how we say them, and and some tools and ideas and ways that you can probably shift that and grow this beautiful, luscious, productive garden that's going to allow you to thrive and move beyond surviving in your life. So I always like to leave a quote. Just remember, embrace your authenticity and trust that you are enough just as you are. And I have a quote from Brene Brown. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do. So that's something to kind of sink your teeth into a little bit, and just allow yourself to be more vulnerable, and know that in that you're going to be making some shifts in your world that are going to be so profound that you didn't even know that you had this within yourself, but it's going to be life changing and transformative. It's like you're stepping into your power. Maybe you're even taking your power back for the first time. So just know that you are worth it and you are loved more than you know. And stay tuned next week for another episode on Inspired Choices Network with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, myself, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. Stay tuned and see you next week. And until then, know you are worth it.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.